Usman said he will be back before the end of the year. He's coming back to remind these boys who the real champion is. And so Volk tweeted back, and he's all, hey, tough guy, say that to my face and see how that works out.
His name is all over my social media right now. But he mentioned my name after my win. Yep, he calls out people he knows can't fight him. He calls out old people. He calls out retired people. He calls out people far smaller than him. And he's made a career doing it. So power to him. Power to him. Man, he's a punk.
I'm sure you've heard the news, but not like this. Get ready to dive into what's happening in the world of MMA. We're your go-to spot for fight night predictions, fighter interviews, and all the behind-the-scenes action you crave. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for. Give it up for your host, the one and only Panda.
What's up, everybody? I'm Daddy from PandaMMANews. And we have Big Sloppy / Big Poppy. I'm just kidding, guy. This is what you get. No, that's the sound that we give to our first scheduled guest that decided to blow us off for the second time in a row. We won't name any names, but you know who you are. Today, though, we have we had two special interviews lined up, but either way, even without the first one, the second one is what everyone's going to tune in for, because this is our biggest guest yet. The man is coming hot off a win to defend his heavyweight championship in karate combat. We have the legendary Smile'n Sam Alvey. The man was in the UFC for fucking ever. He's fought so many people. He trained with Francis Ngannou. He trained with Strickland. He's trained with Curtis. Whatever the hell his name is. I can't remember his name right now. The man's a fucking legend, and he is gracious enough to give us his time, unlike our first guest. So we appreciate you, Sam, and I can't wait to talk to you, my man. But let's get into this. While we wait, we got about 30 minutes till Sam pops on. So they announced UFC Abu Dhabi, UFC 308. I wish this was more of a natural reaction because we already did a first take. But we included the guests that blew us off, so this is a secondary recording. So let me just pull up that card again. To start off the card, first fight on the main card is Ankalaev versus Rakic. Obviously, they didn't want Ankalaev to fight Pereira, which leads me to believe that Pereira is moving up to heavyweight because there's no one else in light heavyweight for him to fight. I think he's moving up. I think he's fighting Tommy Aspinall, and I think that's going to be the co-main for Jones versus Stipe. I think Dana's going to really try to push that.
I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think Alex would want to fight for something that's not a definitive belt. Personally,
no, he's expressed interest in Tom Aspinall.
Sure, when he's the champion, I guarantee that.
Even before,
I don't see why he would do that. To me, it just doesn't seem right.
He originally didn't even want a near title fight. He said he wanted to test himself against lower class heavyweights to get to the title.
I think if you're Alex and you're putting it all on the line and you're going to go up and fight in the big boy division, and they're going to be willing to give you a title shot, I feel like you just go for that. You don't go fight a lower level heavyweight. Although
they're not willing to give him a title shot.
And I'm not saying that Tom Aspinall is a lower level heavyweight. I'm just saying he doesn't have
the best heavyweight.
But he doesn't have the quote unquote fucking title. But he defended an interim belt, which is ridiculous. Like, at what point?
He's more of a champion than John.
We never in any other division that belt gets stripped. When was the last time? Who was it that got the belt stripped from them? Do you remember?
Oh man,
do you remember when that happened? And he was pissed.
It's been so long. I know they stripped the interim off Colby Covington.
Somebody got the belt taken from Francis Ngannou.
Well, no, he didn't get it stripped off him. He left the belt. He won the championship, and then he left the UFC. The last stripping I remember is Charles Oliveira because he missed weight against Justin Gaethje.
I could have swore Francis got it. They took the belt from him, and then they. Or was it, who was it then? Was it a light heavyweight?
No. Well, it for surely wasn't Francis because Francis used the championship as a bargaining chip again to get that fight with Tyson Fury. And that's why he had to win that fight against Gon. Now, obviously, when he left, he was stripped because he was no longer in the UFC, but he won the belt fair and square, and they didn't strip him until he was already out of the organization. But while you do that, but yeah, so they both expressed interest and fighting each other. I am with you though that if I'm Alex, I'm looking. If I'm fighting Tom, it's for the undisputed. There's no way I'm fighting Tom for anything less because Tom is the kryptonite to Alex. Tom, everything Alex is bad at, Tom is fantastic at. And whether or not you agree with this fact or not, you can just rewatch fight clips and you can see firsthand. Tom is faster than Alex. He is faster. He is crisp, more crisp. They both leave their chin exposed. So both of them are susceptible to that one punch. But so far, Alex is the one that's been knocked out, not Tom.
That is true.
And he got knocked out by a middleweight.
That is true. But it also is Israel Adesanya, who is a phenomenal striker, and nobody's going to take that away from him.
No, I'm not taking anything away from him. I'm just saying Tom hits harder than Israel Adesanya.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard this before, but what is it, like 10 pounds of pressure or something in the right spot? 8 pounds of pressure in the right spot's going to knock someone out.
Anybody's going to sleep.
So at some point, yeah. Or I would have said Justin Gaethje until that happened.
And then we learned who has the real kryptonite chin, or the what is it? Vibranium, the Vibranium Chin, adamantium. Yeah, but so I think they're doing that to move Alex up, maybe, because Dana was even pressed about that at the pro fight press conference for this last UFC pay-per-view. They pressed him about moving Alex up. So that brings us to the next fight on the card, which is Gane versus Volkov 2. Gane, what can I say? You fumbled the bag, dude. Tom tried to fight you before he was champion. You told him he wasn't high enough ranked. You're not interested. He tried to fight you while he was champion. You told him, sorry, I'm recording a movie. Now you're fighting fucking Volkov for the second time. So have fun with that. Obviously, the first fight I have Uncle Live. Obviously, this fight I'm gonna go Gane. He's already beat Volkov once, but it's also shame on you for turning down Tom.
That opportunity is set and gone.
Yep. Set and gone. I like it. I like it. So that brings us to our next fight, which is Robert Whittaker. Bobby Knuckles, Robert the Reaper Whittaker versus Khamzat Pullout Chimaev. So that's going to be a great one. If Chimaev decides to show up this time, he has a very long history of saying,
but my tummy hurt. Oh, the sheep in village that I have to fuck. I cannot make it. Oh, no. Yeah. Oh shit.
So, I got Whittaker. I think we both got Whittaker, especially after Whittaker's last performance. Honestly, I think Whittaker, even still, I think he's the best. Well, I can't say that anymore. No, actually, I can. In the top 5, I think he's the best middleweight on this planet. I think that there was – I don't think he took Dricus seriously because honestly no one did. No one took Dricus seriously because his striking style is so awkward. I don't think he really prepared or really, pushed his limit in that fight until it was too late. So I think there's a rematch. I think it would go differently, but I could be wrong. We very likely will never find out. Hopefully this fight will be a title eliminator though.
What if
and then the main event
What if Khamzat just breaks into the scene and just he somehow finds a way to beat Whittaker? That would just complicate everything.
Well, that's going to force Strickland to fight regardless. Then Strickland can't sit out. He's going to have to fight Chimaev. The only way Strickland gets a title fight is if Whittaker wins. That's just because he's fought the two people who are fighting for the title.
Which there's already a story there, so that would actually work out really good.
Yeah. But that brings us to the main event of that fight card, which is Ilia Topuria versus Max Holloway. We both have Holloway. There's no fucking question. I would have had Holloway regardless, but you throw on that Justin Gaethje on top of that, it's a no-brainer, dude. Justin Gaethje's a bigger, harder hitter. Exactly. They're going to meet in the middle of the octagon, and it's fucking on, dude. I got Holloway by precision knockout. And then hopefully Islam even said that he will fight Holloway as long as Holloway beats Topuria. So that makes it so Holloway can become a double champ.
Yeah, Ilia's gonna have a strict diet of just UFC octagon mat. So,
hey, at least he'll make weight.
he'll be making weight. You know who also should go on that same diet is Chimaev. He might actually make it into the octagon.
Yeah, well, if he does, he'll be on that strict pad diet too after round one. After round one, when he blows his fucking load, and then it's Whitaker's time.
You know, the way I would see that going though is Whitaker's clearly, you know, he's going to do that lunging forward type fighting that he does, and Hamzat's going to shoot those legs, and if he can get a hold of him dry, maybe he can make something happen. But if he doesn't make it happen in the first round, and he makes it, well, first of all, if he makes it in the octagon, but if he makes it in the octagon and he makes it through that first round, rounds 2 and 3 is where we'll really see what Hamzat's made out of, because when we saw him fight Usman, it didn't look too hot, and ever since he's made money, he has not been the same fighter. Actually, ever since he fought Gilbert Burns and realized that he's not just going to run through everybody he fights, his whole like I kill everybody and thing, like that was just gone. It just took the wind out of his sails. But before that, dude, I wouldn't have said shit about Hamzat. I really did think he was going to do what everybody thought he would. But
yeah,
this is what happens when you go from being the most active fighter to the least active fighter ever.
Plus, he's doing those crypto scams and everything, so clearly he's hard up for money. But I mean, like you just said, the Kamaru Usman fight. Usman took that fight on a week's notice. He was a blown-up welterweight, and arguably Usman won, if not a tie. Chimaev got that first round. After that first round, load was blown. I don't care if he says he broke his hand. Shut the fuck up, dude. Colby Covington, Colby Covington may have fucked up his, whole reputation with the Leon Edwards fight, but the man still fought 3 rounds with a broken fucking jaw against Usman, and you didn't hear no bitching. So you breaking your fucking hand, that's not an excuse for me. That doesn't work for me.
Against the same fighter, isn't that crazy?
Yeah, well, that just goes to show that Usman's clearly made out of fucking steel. And by the way, I was listening to the Pound for Pound podcast with Henry Cejudo and Kamaru Usman. Usman said he will be back before the end of the year. He's coming back to remind these boys who the real champion is. He called out Rakhmonov. He's called out Leon Edwards again. I think he called out Colby too. But he said he's one fight away from the title, and he's coming back to take his title back.
He saw Bilal get it, and he goes, "Now's my chance."
He's all, eh.
He's like, okay. But yeah, that would be interesting if he fought somebody like Shavkat, and let's say he wins, which he's definitely got what it takes to do that, just because he's got that veteran mentality. And even though his knees are bad, I think if Usman's willing to get into an octagon, he truly thinks he's going to win a fight. So I'd put stock in him on that. But yeah, wouldn't that be crazy? And then all of a sudden that sets up a fight with him and Bilal. Say he wins that fight, and now Leon has to come back and fight him.
Usman back. Now we got a champion that's active again in the welterweight. Say what you will about Usman. Usman was, looking back, you didn't know it at the time, but looking back, Usman was a blessing to the welterweight division. The man fought 3 to 5 times a year. The man never complained. He took every challenge the UFC threw at him. And he was beating the shit out of Leon until fucking Leon struck lightning. And then when they rematched, I think what it was is Usman just didn't give himself enough of a mental break. So he went in there with that fear that this could happen again. So he wasn't performing to the true cap of his potential. I think that's really what it is. I think if that fight goes through again, Usman's had enough time off now. I think Usman takes Leon, especially after seeing what Bilal did to him.
I put a lot of stock in, these guys like Usman's and Volkanovski. I put a lot of stock in the fact that when they've been so dominant for so long and they get knocked out and kind of derailed off of their successful run, they really should take more time off before. I know their mindset isn't built like that. That's why they got where they are, but they really should take more mental health time to recover, clear the cobwebs, get back to the basics, erase that muscle memory of what that felt like, and then get back in there and pick up where you left off.
Yeah, which I completely agree. Which is, the whole Volkanovski thing. He needs a little more time off. I think early next year, he'll probably be good to go. But he needs a little time off. He's coming off 2 KO losses. I don't know if you saw, but he's been beefing with Bilal. Have you seen that at all? So he was ready to weigh in to be the backup fighter for Leon and Bilal, and he tried to, but the UFC told him no. And he did an interview, and he's like, "Hey, I mean, no disrespect to Bilal at all. He's all, but his style, he's all, I I think is tailor made for me. He's all, I think I can take him. I think that his style is someone I can beat at welterweight. And Bilal came out saying, pretty much, I'll smack you in your fucking mouth if you say shit like that again. And so Volk tweeted back, and he's all, hey, tough guy, say that to my face and see how that works out. So we potentially have a fight at welterweight now for fucking Volk Bruin. Volk is all over the place, dude. Volk is the last call stand, dude. He's there for all the smoke anytime, dude. He's Smokey the Bear.
He needs a dog bed and a collar. That guy's he's a real dog. He's got that dog in him for show.
He does, but you know what? We don't have access to Volk because we're not quite there yet. But what we do have access to is another fucking brutal. I think he's Australian, brutal Australian who has that Volkanovski fight style and mentality, and that's Stuart Nicole, who is fighting on UFC 305. Guys, we had him on our show. Look out for his fight. Pay attention. He's fighting Jesus Aguilar. Guy's a fucking hero, and you guys will see him back on our show again. He loved Big Sloppy and me, so.
Yeah, he's the Australian Dagestani wrestler type guy. He's got that crazy pressure, and he wraps those legs up like textbook. And, yeah, he's going to be a force. I can't wait to see it.
He's going to be a force, dude, just like – never mind. A lot of things that come to my mind will get us canceled, so I really have to, like, think about it and think if it's worth if the juice is worth the squeeze.
If the pump is worth the dump.
Exactly. So just trying to see if I got any other current events. If you guys haven't already, tune into the face-offs, specifically Mackenzie Dern versus Lupe Goldinas. Make sure you turn into that face-off. It's a great face-off for the viewers. That's about it for that.
He'll say he's going to nip that one in the butt.
You'll just – well, you said you didn't watch the whole last episode. What's funny is I'm trying the new thing where I bleep out our cuss words the first 5 minutes, and clearly it worked. I think now that I say it out loud, I think that may be a contribution on why we got suggested so many times in the YouTube algorithm, because I bleeped out the cursing for the first 5 minutes. So whenever we're talking about Mackenzie Dern, it's like, yeah, you want your nose up or beep, and I'm like, yeah, I'd rather my beep up or beep. It's pretty funny.
Like a true sailor.
The bleeping is hilarious. But yeah, guys, so we got about 13 minutes till Sam Alvey joins us. I'm very excited. My heart's pumping through my chest. This is our biggest guest ever to date.
Throbbing at the bit.
Yeah, I'm literally my heart's throbbing at the bit. I might have to go to the doctors after this. But it's exciting, dude. We're interviewing a fucking champion. A guy who was in the UFC forever. A guy who I've always loved Sam Alvey, but he's just as aware as everyone else. Everybody was talking about him like he was Tony Ferguson. The guy leaves the UFC, and now he's on a fucking fat win streak. He's the champion of another organization, and a blooming organization at that. And I'm super excited to talk to him. Super excited.
Yeah, I'm pumped for that, dude. You know what? The only way I can really describe it is when I used to be an iron worker, and I went to work a little drunk still because I drank so much the night before, and I slung that big sledgehammer and caught my thumb. The feeling where my thumb was like just throbbing to the point where I felt like it was going to explode. That's how I feel right now, and there's no other way to describe it. That's just exactly how I feel.
Yeah. My heart was beating when we had Max Griffin on, but this is a different level just because Sam Alvey, he's a true OG of the game, dude. He was in the UFC. I have his Tapology right in front of me, so I can tell you right when his first UFC fight was.
2014 or something like that?
His first UFC fight, no, his first UFC was
2014. Tom Watson.
Was it 2014? Yeah, but he started fighting in 2007.
He did UFC Ultimate Fighter first, but he won one, lost one, and then after that he went back to the regional scene, and then he got picked up again in 2014.
Oh, he was in Bellator too. I didn't know that.
Yeah, his first. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. He's done it all. He's done Bellator. He's done Ultimate Fighter. He's done UFC.
Karate Combat.
Now he's Karate Combat. And then there was that other organization, B2 or whatever it was.
Well, there's multiple. There's B2. There was Caribbean, KOTC, which he fought a lot in. Industry of Combat.
He did something in
But
Mexico.
if you include the Ultimate Fighter, he got his start in 2012 as far as UFC goes.
Yeah,
But that's if you include Ultimate Fighter.
I wouldn't, just because it's not a contract; it's an opportunity for a contract. It's
We
clear.
have speaking of opportunity for contracts, guys, we have a big show coming up on the cusp of August. I think it starts August 24th. Dana White's Contender Series is coming back. My favorite show on TV. That it's, in my opinion, better than Tough. It's just no fights, or it's all fights. It's no drama. So you get to see the best of the best. We have a lot of interviews coming up with guys that are scheduled to fight on Dana White's Contender Series. So I'm super stoked about that. I can't wait to tune in and see. It actually, when you interview these people, it makes watching the fights even more fun because you're rooting for people who you either wouldn't know or people you just wouldn't, necessarily, they wouldn't necessarily come on your radar. And, us being able to talk to them, you build kind of a relationship with these fighters, and it just kind of makes you want to tune into everything they do. But yeah, so we got 9 minutes till Sam comes on. So I guess we're just gonna cut it off here, guys. The Sam interview will be the last thing you guys see on this podcast for this episode.
Cut it off like a foreskin.
So we'll just say our goodbyes here until Thursday night's episode. Thursday night's episode, we don't have any interviews scheduled, but after that, Big Sloppy will be back, and that Saturday he goes back, dude. We have 6 interviews that day alone lined up, so we're getting pretty stacked. But make sure you follow us on Instagram. We are Panda MMA News 1, number 1. Panda MMA News number 1.
Number one bullshit, guys. Number one bullshit.
Number 1, brother. But on TikTok we are Panda MMA News. On X we are Panda MMA News. Make sure you follow. Buy some fucking merch. PandaMMAnews.com. Click the merch section. There's potentially some big things coming up, guys. We might be partnering with another platform. We have a meeting on Monday, so I'll get more details on that if we're actually going to go through with it. It depends what they want, because we're not signing away our creative control. If they wanted us to interview certain people, we'll do it, but they're not going to tell us who we can and can't interview. Otherwise, we're going to say no. We started this show not to make money. We started the show because we like it. Making money is just a benefit, hopefully, potentially. But
Well said.
So make sure you guys subscribe and enjoy this interview, guys, because I know we will.
Whoa, dude, I thought that grinder was broke.
Not anymore. Thanks to Avalos Co., I was able to get the parts I need in order to repair my grinder so my business can go on as usual.
What else do they sell parts for?
Well, funny you should ask. They sell parts for your broken tools, sex toys, garden equipment, even parts for your computer so you can get back to the games of Halo with your virgin friends.
Okay, tell me more. Where do I purchase?
You can see what they have available exclusively at avalis-co.com. That's AVLIS-CO.com. Check them out to get your tools to entertain those certain family jewels back in working order today.
Absolutely. Hey, and I gotta apologize. I walked outside to do this, and the daily alarm for the city is going off. So.
Oh shit!
It's no problem. We can't hear anything. So
has the purge started?
Yeah, it seems that way. Yeah, you gotta find the high ground.
Oh shit! Well, hey, we appreciate you hopping on. I know you're a family man, a farmer, and a fighter, so you wear a lot of different hats. So we'll get right into it. Hey, congratulations over your win over Antonio Arroyo last Thursday evening. I'm curious, is the preparation for Karate Combat significantly different from what it was for the UFC?
It doesn't have to be. Like did you hear that? That's the alarm.
okay.
The one thing I've really added since leaving the UFC is how much I weightlift. I'm in the gym constantly now. Lifting gym. I'm in the lifting room gym, and then I go do jiu-jitsu, and then I do my striking. and then I can't do the same thing at night. So I'm in the gym just as much, working just as much as I used to. I've just changed a few little things up, like how big I am.
Okay, so you're getting that juicy chest pump. You're bench pressing some cattle back there in the barn.
Yeah. Yeah. It has always been a goal of mine. It was like my goal is I needed to be able to bench 315 pounds, which I did this last camp. It's like, oh my God, this is fantastic. I felt like such a badass. And then immediately, I thought, well, I could get 405. Let's shoot for 405 now. Like, damn
Never
it.
good enough. Huh?
But
You gotta keep raising that bar up a little bit,
oh,
huh?
I was my entire adult life, all I wanted was 315. I got it, and immediately said, well, 405 is better.
There's an old man that we used to train with. His gloves are behind my buddy here. And he was, what would you say, Richard? Like 50 something years old, repping 405 on the bench. The guy was an
Yeah.
absolute ogre.
Yeah, he had his first MMA fight at 50 against a 25-year-old kid.
Oh, that's awesome. Did he win?
Yeah.
He didn't win that one, but he won it a bunch after. Sadly, he passed away. He was one of my training partners, but he was a bad mofo.
Yeah, straight.
Oh, that's a cool story.
Savage.
Yeah, so my next question is, you're on fire with your running karate combat. After your last fight, you called out Luke Rockhold, which I would love to see. I personally think you starch him. But if he doesn't have the cojones to take this fight, do you have another fight in mind that you're kind of targeting?
Yeah, I actually just made a karate combat, and I made a post this morning, and his name is Alvey. He's a Middle Eastern fellow, so I can't say his name correctly, but it's Alvin something. He's currently 2-0 in karate combat. His name is all over my social media right now, but he mentioned my name after my win, and if we want to keep it homegrown, he's probably the next in line.
Okay, cool.
So, by the way, you made me a fan of Karate Combat. Before that, it wasn't necessarily on my radar. I'd watch it from time to time when there wasn't a lot going on. But when I saw you win the belt and get that sixth round, like sudden death, I'll go, oh shit. They're really out here trying to find a winner right now. They're not just going to settle it by decision if they don't have to. They're like, hey, let's throw them in for another round and just see what happens. That was crazy.
There are a couple things Karate Combat does that I just like more. Like, they don't like split decisions. So if it's a 3-round fight and it's a split decision, it goes to a 4th round. Now, the 4th round, they won't add a 5th round if the 4th round is split, but they do everything they can to make sure judges have no job that evening.
Being a nerd,
Yeah.
it kind of makes me feel like they really are playing the Mortal Kombat vibe, because you watch it and it's like space theme in the background. They're like, finish him, final rounds and type shit, you know?
It is so much fun. And I love the background they have. The first time I watched it was about a year and a half ago, and I was watching my buddy Raymond Daniels fight. In the background, they were like on Coruscant or something. Say, well, this is strange. And then when I went there, there's no green screens. I have no idea how they make the background like that. There's no green screen.
Huh? What the hell?
That's
Yeah.
actually pretty crazy. I was about to ask you that. That is nuts. Well, I guess I'll ask you. I'll move on to the next question I have lined up. I know you trained with Strickland and Francis in the past. Do you have any funny or crazy stories from sparring or training or anything that you could share?
Well, Strickland's the guy that broke my jaw sparring. So I used to beat Strickland up regularly. Like, I got to bully him a little bit. He broke my jaw, and it was a nothing kick. He threw a little teep kick that hit me in the face. And he's like, oh, I called him off. He said, are you all right? Like, he didn't understand why I was calling off. He said, yeah, I think you just broke my jaw. I said, what? And I took my mouth guard out, and my mouth was filled with blood. My bottom teeth were split apart. He's like, oh, well, I guess we're done for today.
Ooh.
Yeah. Now I got revenge. I broke his knee not too long after. Once I healed up, so I knocked him out of a fight too. So karmically, we're on even grounds. But that was we have tried to hurt each other so many times. We've just succeeded once each.
I feel like he's the perfect guy if you want to get those hard sparring rounds in preparation of a fight when you're in the beginnings era of your camp. In Karate Combat, they have an influencer fighting division. Are you interested in that at all? Is there anybody you'd consider, putting the gloves on and fighting up against?
Well, I don't think there's an influencer at my level, Jake Paul included. Uh, they
I
just,
agree.
yeah. But I love the influencer league. I love watching these guys go at it, and most of them have some background, like very minor background, but they're just influencer with the personality, and they're willing to go out there and fight, and I just love it.
Hell yeah, man. I would personally, I would love to see you against Jake Paul because I think that's where Jake Paul meets his match finally. That's
Oh
where we finally
God.
get the end of that.
There's a reason he hasn't said my name.
Yeah, and it's funny because he wants to call Alex Pereira, who's under contract, but we got Sam Alvey over here, who's not under UFC contract. He can go handle business real quick.
Yep. He calls out people he knows can't fight him. He calls out old people. He calls out retired people. He calls out people far smaller than him. And he's made a career doing it. So power to him. Power to him. But he's a punk.
Yeah,
Fucking
I
kids
agree.
out there making millions, man. It just drives me nuts.
Oh,
He's done so well with the fights that he chooses. Like the last one, me and my buddy here, we were both sold that Mike Perry was going to be the guy to get it done. We thought for sure. And then you get in there and you go, oh, he looks kind of awkward. Like he wasn't the size definitely played a factor for
yeah.
Perry.
I, I had predicted Perry was going to lose. I even thought he was going to get knocked out. Hey, bare knuckle boxing is more closely related to MMA than it is to boxing. The lack of gloves changes the sport entirely, or the adding gloves in boxing changes how you strike. And to be so used to bare knuckle or MMA, adding boxing gloves is very difficult.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree for sure, man. Hey, the last thing I want to ask you, I want to kind of get your picks for UFC 305, but I just kind of thought about this. What do you have an idea when we'll get to see Sam Alvey back in that pit?
If I could fight 2 more times this year, that would be a dream. I don't know if that's destined to happen. Maybe I'll get at least one more, but I'm pushing for two. If I can get there September or October, I'll be ready.
Dude, I hope so, man. Like literally, the only reason why I tune into Karate Combat is to watch you fight. I'll tune in every once in a while if I got nothing going on a Thursday or a Friday. But once I saw you were fighting last Thursday, I was like, I don't care what we're watching, shut it off.
Yeah, my man. It was a good fight too, wasn't it? Like,
Hell yeah, it was, dude.
it was
I
such an entertaining fight. It might be my new favorite fight I've ever done.
Dude, that was my favorite just because like clearly you both fought your hearts out, and just to see you in that sudden death round, get on top of them and just keep going and going and going, just pouring out every ounce of energy you had. That was such a fun fight, man. It's crazy because I didn't even realize the first fight happened until I tuned into this one. So
Oh yeah.
seeing that like, he won by a illegal headbutt, or didn't win, but
He didn't win. He didn't win.
yeah, but an illegal headbutt, and
Yeah.
that was insane. It was cool to see retribution.
Hey Sam,
Yeah, it felt great. I went out there and yes, sir.
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I was gonna say
Oh,
it brought something to mind when I was watching you win the belt. Every I noticed in like when you get them on the I don't know what you'd call it, like the edge of the mats where they're at an angle and they start to
yeah.
slide down. I noticed like when you were throwing your punches, it wasn't like you were dropping those haymakers, like just trying to be lights out right there. Do they have rules against that or something where you're not supposed to hit them with full steam, or is that just that was just kind of what you
No,
felt?
it's because they're falling. I try and get them stuck on the pit, but as soon as their butt hits the ground, they get stood back up. So as well as hitting them, I'm trying to keep them on the wall so I can keep hitting them. So it's kind of it's hard to throw everything you've got behind a punch when you're trying to keep them up still.
That's true.
Yeah, I understand that. Well, Sam, I appreciate you giving us your time, so I won't keep you too much longer. I just wanted to get some picks from you because we got UFC 305 coming up here in a few weeks, and
Okay.
that the main event was in your division. So I'm kind of curious on because at one time you fought at middleweight, right?
Yeah, most of my career has been middleweight.
Yeah, making sure that I'm not imagining that. I was pretty sure about that, but so the first fight I want to get your pick on is Tai Tuivasa versus Rosenstruck.
I'm taking Rosenstruck. Rosenstrike. It's a good fight for Ty, but I'm just not a big fan of Ty. Like he's a very simple striker, and I think Rosenstrike is a better striker. Ty has the power and the that just he'll take one to or take two to give one. I just think Rosenstrike hits hard enough that you don't want him to hit you twice.
Right. Okay. Well, that brings us to the next one. Gamrot versus Dan Hooker.
I'm taking Gamrot. When in doubt, you bet on the wrestler.
Agreed. And the co-main event, Kai Kara France versus Steve Urseg.
Oh, I gotta say, France. He wasn't supposed to lose his last fight, and he did, and he lost it pretty poorly. So I think he's gonna rebound well. I think he's gonna make the corrections because he's a win away from a title shot, maybe 2 wins away now.
Yeah, I agree. And then we got the main event, which is your weight division, Dricus Du Plessis versus Israel Adesanya.
I think Izzy pieces him up.
We are
yeah.
all in agreement here.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I like DDP. I don't want. He beat my buddy Sean. He didn't beat Sean, but he was given.
He did
a
not beat
decision
Sean.
He was gifted. He was gifted.
He was. So actually, I made the prediction on TikTok the other day. What I think is going to happen is Izzy's going to beat him. Izzy's then going to go up to light heavyweight and fight Pereira. He's going to beat Pereira again and vacate the middleweight belt, which will leave it open for Sean versus Whitaker to fight for the middleweight title.
Love that prediction, dude. I want to see Whitaker versus Sean so bad.
Hey, the only problem with that prediction is you still got Kamaru Usman and you've got Shavkat and you've got
No. You're at a different division, buddy. That's welterweight.
Oh, that's right.
You're way off.
So I'm thinking Israel and Dracus. So that's where that was coming to mind.
Yeah. The one that Kamzat is floating around middleweight, except he still hasn't beaten a middleweight, or at least a ranked one. So
he can't stop pulling out. So
yeah.
Well, that's about, I think, all the questions we have for you. We don't want to keep you too long. We super appreciate your time, man. We appreciate you jumping on and giving us a few minutes. After the call, if you could just stay on for a second so your site can upload so we could get that 1080p quality.
Sure thing.
That'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. And thank you guys for having me on.
You're the man, dude. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whoa, dude. Where'd you get that totally throbular shirt from?
Funny you should ask. I got it from PandaMMANews merch store. We have all sorts of merch to choose from, including our brand new Live, Laugh, Throb shirt from episode 4. We have dog collars, dog beds, limited edition shirts, hats, coffee mugs, and more. So what are you waiting for? Come throb with us at PandaMMAnews.com. Just click the merch tab and check out all our great product.
Throbbing is known to cause health issues for both male and females above the age of 40. So do not use PandaMMAnews.com without prior doctor consent. Please throb responsibly.